left leg, came into the Carl's Jr. He came out of the back, saw the commotion, decided to try and help, grabbed a bungee cord to wrap that around her leg to lessen the blood flow until first responders could get here. Ken.
All right, Jesse, Gary, thanks for the good work. We're getting a better understanding of what's going on. Heather?
Yeah, we want to bring in now some tweets from Google Communications. Google, of course, part of owning YouTube, owns YouTube.
I came up to come into Bay Hill Shopping Center, and I saw a big commotion, so I pulled in, and a lady had come out of the YouTube building, actually limped or came into Carl's Jr., had a gunshot in her foot. That's right about, I mean, there were barely any police there at the time. And then all of a sudden, next, from all directions, police, not slowly, but started coming. And you knew something was serious because people started crowding around. Police started coming from every direction, every town, getting out with like their SWAT gear. And then the SWAT showed up and just kept going from there.
And so you were kind of hanging around to see what was going on. What else did you see?
Yeah, I saw a lot of the people who work in the YouTube building. The police went up to the front. They started waving people out. They all had their hands in the air because they didn't know who was who. They brought them across the street, around the corner. And at the same time this was going on, the helicopter started showing up, and more SWAT showed up. And then a bunch of waves of police went in that building. I'm saying there's got to be 200 police in that building. And I've never seen them come out yet. I've been over there watching the whole time. There's a lot of police in that building.
Wow.
So
and you've been right up close to it.
I've been here right since when the police first got here.
And it's that building we're looking at right here in the back?
No. You can't see it from here. It's kitty corner to this building or across from that building. If you guys go around this way, you might get a better shot at it.
Okay, cool. Right on. All right. So that's kind of what you saw, huh? Crazy stuff?
Yeah.
Anything like it you ever seen?
No. Yeah. And like I said, another guy that I was talking to over there, he works city of San Bruno. He heard, it was another guy, he heard shots fired. He said there was like 15 shots. Sounded like someone stopped, and then 15 more shots. That was right before I got there, and he said he wasn't sure if that was police, but I don't know if they were there yet, so he had heard some shots fired too.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, real crazy.
That's an interview, a producer, and a witness there who clearly has been there from the very beginning, or maybe a correspondent on scene. Another live interview from KTVU. Let's listen.
The car, don't put it. Because they have to make room for the ambulances. Now, saying making room, that sounds like they have a lot that are
inside of the building. And she was running, could barely run. But he shot like 3 times at her. The person shot, but the person who was inside that shot her. So then when they shot her, he missed 2 times, and then he shot that girl in the leg. Okay. And then I ran over there by the trees. Then I went up there. Then the guy that was working there, he was going to go inside, but they were having a party.
Wait, so who was having a party?
Yep. Okay.
YouTube's having a party. They were having a luncheon, a party. It was just going to start, and then so the girl ran in there. Then she ran in Carl's Jr. to the side door. We opened the door, let her in at the same time. And then when she was in there, we took a bunch of napkins, like a stack of them like that, put them on her leg. Then right after that, I ran to the side, went to the back, and I ran over there. And when I ran over there, I got pictures on my phone, but my phone's died. But then the girl, there's another lady, she's laying on the opposite side in the courtyard, to the north side of the courtyard, by the entrance of the doors. And she's dead, because when he shot that person, whoever was it that shot her, shot that person like 10 times. Did not stop. I mean, didn't stop. It didn't stop. It was like massive.
He shot her 10 times.
The second person shot the person at least 10 times. Then after that, I heard 4 more shots, and then it stopped. And then I looked, and then we went over there, and I looked, and there was no cops, and there was no enforcement here whatsoever.
So this was in the Carl's Jr. parking lot?
No, this is in the courtyard, in the back courtyard.
Of YouTube?
Of YouTube, inside. Yeah.
So this happened during a YouTube party?
Yeah.
At their headquarters?
Yeah, inside.
Inside.
In the courtyard.
And this shooter walked in from outside?
No, the person was inside.
He was inside already?
Yeah.
And he just opened fire,
Yeah.
And where were you?
Right across the street.
What were you doing?
Getting ready to order my food at the loudspeaker for Carl's Jr.'s. So
Okay.
I was getting ready to order my food. We were deciding what we were going to eat, right, on the menu. And then all of a sudden, it was just like 2-3 shots. And then like within 30 seconds after that, or 40 seconds after that, then I seen the girl running out. And then she was shot in the leg. Then the other people that were behind me, they opened the doors, let her in, pulled her in, and they grab a bunch of napkins. So I come back and I check on the girl. Then I checked on the girl. She all right? She yeah. She got shot in the leg. So then I ran back over there, and then I'm looking inside, and then when I'm looking, then the other guy goes, "Oh, he just shot the other person," and that person got shot 10 times. I mean.
So you could see into the courtyard?
Yeah. I got the pictures on my phone.
What did the shooter look like?
I didn't see the shooter, okay?
Where's your phone?
In my pocket.
Can I take a look at what you have?
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, but it's dead, but you got to charge it.
Let's see. Got an iPhone?
No, I got LG.
A disturbing account of what has apparently been an incredible scene inside this YouTube party, as he describes it. It's 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 2 p.m. on the West Coast. This is Fox News Channel's continuing coverage of what appears to be an active shooter situation at YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. A live interview now from our local station, KTVU2. The 5 will be seen upon conclusion of this breaking news coverage. Let's listen.
Like a minute and a half. Like a minute and a half.
Scared? What are you thinking?
I was scared. I knew that I had to run for cover, so I knew that.
Ken, this gentleman right here says he was ordering food at the Carl's, which is kind of directly across from the YouTube headquarters, and he heard the shots and saw what happened. So I'm going to kind of jump in, and I'll ask questions as we go. But he says this all started at a party that was happening at the YouTube headquarters.
Side of the building, and I parked it right there in the driveway, in the drive-through. And then I ran back around the building, and then I went to go see, and that's when the girl went past me. I went check on her, but when I ran over there, the first girl, yeah.
They brought her into the Carl's, and then you went back over.
Yeah, because there's a side door in the back.
Right.
So then they opened the door, and then they put her in, and we put her on. At the same time, I went back, I checked, put her leg on the table, and grabbed all the napkins and put her on the leg.
And then you went back out, and
then I went back out, went over there, go see what happened, see what's going on, really going on. And then the other lady was there, and then the guy. He was there. He goes, "Oh, she's shot. She's dead. She's over there. He shot." I go, "I heard it, dude. I heard. It was like it was right there. It was clear as day."
How many shots?
Like 10 times the second time.
Rapid fire?
Yeah. Oh man, it didn't stop. It was no mercy. It was no mercy. It was just like whoever shot that time was. Oh man, it was massive.
That was the second victim, and then there was a third victim.
And then I think he shot somebody else because there was 4 more shots after that. It went bam, 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 and then after that, I didn't hear nothing.
What's going through your mind people dropping, being shot multiple times, bullets whizzing, people bleeding? What's going through your mind?
Well, Leslie was on my mind, but at the same time, I knew, I had to be smart. You got to be smart. You got to be fast. You got to think fast, be smart. I have a gun on me, but wish I did.
Describe for me where you were.
Right across the street.
So this gentleman says there were 3 victims. 3 victims. One was the woman that we talked about earlier who was brought into the Carl's with a gunshot to the leg, but the second victim was a woman who was shot multiple times, rapid fire, point blank range, as he says in his own words, no mercy, and then possibly a third victim because he heard more shots after that. And again, this started at some kind of party or celebration at the YouTube headquarters, and it began inside the facility, not outside. So from what I'm told, the shooter did not walk up to the facility, but I guess he was already inside and started shooting, guys.
Order from KTVU, Fox 2 on the ground there. We've gotten reports from 2 different hospitals. San Francisco General says 3 to 5 patients. Stanford Hospital, and I'm quoting, "We are expecting 4 to 5 patients. It's an active shooter situation," and that's all the info I have right now. We have not received the patients yet, as far as I can tell you. So, to our knowledge, they're expecting these patients, but they haven't yet arrived, which leads us to wonder if this person who's giving us the reports from scene there, if accurate, horrifying on every level, report of one woman being shot 10 times. Again, these are witness accounts on what is clearly a very disturbing day, and sometimes the first witness accounts are off, we can only hope. Live on scene now to the live coverage, KTVU's station feed now. This is going to Fox News Channel and local Fox television stations across America.
See what else was going on, and he heard the multiple shots on victim number 2. He says there was no hope. She was dead. She was shot multiple times, rapid fire, and then possibly a third victim after that.
So all of this happened outside the building. Is that what you're saying?
Outside. Let me clarify on that, Ken.
I'm just wondering if the shooting happened inside or outside.
I'm gonna clarify. Hold on for 1 second. All of this happened inside the YouTube facility, or was it somewhat outside?
It was both. It was both because it was so fast. It was so fast. Like, it was just really.
30 seconds? Less than 30 seconds?
Less than 30 seconds. Yeah. Like,
Did you see the first lady get shot?
Yeah.
But the first person was
Where
shot.
was she standing when she was?
She was running from across. She was running across. We met.
So you saw two women shot, one outside the building and
one inside.
The building.
Yeah.
Any others?
No.
So two women shot that he saw, one outside, one inside.
Maybe he shot another person because it's possibly there could be 3 people now.
About how many shots did you hear?
The first time, 3 shots. Second time, like 10, 11.
And then more after that?
4 more times, 5 more times. It was 4 to 5 more times the third time.
Yeah.
And then it stopped. And then that was it.
And where did the shooter, did anybody see where he went or what happened to him?
I believe it was either inside the building or towards the 280, the freeway in the back. There's a bunch of trees.
And so you think he went up onto the freeway or went into the woods? Or?
That way, yeah, that's always.
But no, but he hasn't been caught to your knowledge.
To my knowledge, no.
Can I get your name, please?
No, I'd rather just keep my name. Yeah. No. Everybody knows me, man.
Are you local too?
Yeah, I'm local. Yeah.
Who's in Los Angeles monitoring. Trace, the reports we're getting seem to indicate that the shooting may have been coming from inside the building and some of the victims may have been outside. What's your understanding of things?
Well, and that's kind of the people who are on scene, Shep. The witnesses are kind of giving us differing descriptions of what's happening. Remember, one said that there was a party going on, a luncheon for YouTube employees going on inside the building, and there were some reports that maybe some shots were fired at or near this luncheon venue. And then we have heard at least 2, including the man you just saw, and possibly more witness reports that this thing spilled out into the parking lot at some point in time. Now, it's unclear if that woman who actually made her way over to the Carl's Jr. with that leg wound, a leg gunshot wound, was inside the building or she was actually in the parking lot, because the employee says he was in the bathroom at the time when he came out. She was already inside the restaurant, the Carl's Jr., so where she was when she was shot would be a very good indicator, because that's the first person, the first witness that's actually talked to one of the victims. We've got stringers, as you know, Shep, at the various hospitals, and they're telling us they've seen at least 2 or 3 patients brought into San Francisco General Hospital in ambulances, another 4 or 5 to Stanford Hospital. They don't know the conditions of the patients. We've heard nothing. The public information officer, we were told about 15, 20 minutes ago, would have an availability at the top of the hour. Well, now we're 7 minutes past the top of the hour. We have heard nothing like that. We do know that they set up on the backside of the building a triage of sorts to kind of go through, as you know, where you evaluate the more seriously injured, the lesser seriously injured, and we know that one ambulance brought someone away who was a do not, in other words, he refused medical attention, but they brought him to San Francisco General anyway. So right now, the question remains, we had one witness say that a flood of police officers went inside the building and they've seen no officers come out, and that's a very good indication that they're going room to room, which is standard protocol, and checking this 200,000 square foot facility. For those just joining us, I mean, we're talking about 1,700 employees inside this YouTube facility with multiple rooms, with multiple open spaces, and police will now go inside and check from space to space. We have not heard anything in the past, and I've been keeping a pretty close tab on this, 37 or 38 minutes at all about searching for an active shooter or any shots being fired in the last 40 minutes. So as far as an indication of whether this thing is, they're still looking for an active shooter, that, in our experience, leads us to believe that the shooter is either incapacitated or is no longer on the scene, Shep. But we're still kind of monitoring some of the witness accounts, getting some reports. Again, our ABC affiliate, KGO, a powerhouse up in San Francisco, is reporting this was a female shooter that was wearing a black top and a white scarf, and that she opened fire at or near the doorway, the back doorway to the YouTube facility, and then at some point in time she either ran out or made her way back out into the parking lot near the Walmart headquarters building, which is directly across the way from the YouTube building, and that is the last place that we have heard anything about the active shooter. And that's an indication that police may have more information about her whereabouts if they get to this this press briefing sometime in the next few minutes, Shep.
Yeah, it looks like they're setting up for that. Cron, a lot of information now coming together pretty swiftly. Cron 4, our network news service affiliate, Cron 4, is reporting that a woman shot her boyfriend at the YouTube headquarters there, and that's how all of this began. There are multiple reports that this shooter, whoever she is, has been in one way or another incapacitated. The number of victims is something that we're not comfortable with reporting yet. We don't report on scanner traffic because that's the traffic through which police communicate with each other, but there are indications that there's a high number of patients. And I can report to you as well that CBS 5 KPIX in San Francisco is reporting that the San Mateo County coroner has been called to the scene, and the coroner is en route as we speak. This began as a call of an active shooter situation about 1:45 this afternoon, West Coast time, and it was just that. We could get nothing more from police except there was an active scene there. Police eventually confirmed that there was an active shooter, and we've been watching as authorities frisk everyone who comes out of the building. About 1,700 employees reported to work at this 200,000 square foot facility. It's laid out kind of like a small college campus with easy entrance and easy exit. You heard the report there of a party happening inside, and you heard the man's report who had been at the Carl's Jr., which is a fast food chain on the West Coast in the Midwest, reports that this guy had been at the Carl's Jr. drive-thru and heard and saw all of this stuff. But we're expecting a news conference from police shortly. Let's listen, KTVU, Fox 2, San Francisco.
And hope to bring you more information as soon as we get it.
Yeah, once I heard going to Stanford, my immediate impression was that those injuries probably weren't not as serious as those who went to San Francisco General Hospital, which is much closer and, of course, has a trauma center there and is well known for its response to emergencies. So I guess that would be good news that they wouldn't be as seriously injured if they're going to Stanford. And how far out do you think you are, Maureen, from Stanford right now?
We're about 10 minutes away, and like you were talking about, when you have multiple victims in this case that we're hearing about, when you have 4 to 5 victims going to Stanford, and like you said, others going to San Francisco, when it's this many, it's a logistical thing to try to get the victims out, and like you said, you would expect that there would be the less serious head there. We do expect to be there in 10 minutes, and I will be in touch with the hospital and hope to be posting updates, both bring them to you on air and on Twitter.
All right, thank you so much, Maureen. As Maureen makes her way to Stanford, where again, she's letting us know of the number of victims that...
I want to switch over to KGO television now and a live report and a witness here, KGO TV.
The details are a little bit fuzzy still.
I can only imagine. Did he have an accent or any clothing that would give away more of his identity?
The only thing that I can remember is that he looked like he was wearing gray. Yeah. So, yeah.
So tell me, how do you think that he could have possibly entered? I mean, security-wise at YouTube, are there metal detectors? I mean, are there badges you need to swipe in order to get into that area?
So I can't go much into the security of YouTube, but I can say that they have security doors. But the garage area allows walk-in. And I come in the morning often on my skateboard, and I kind of sail through the parking garage, and I'm able to get into the outside courtyard area, which is where he was at. So he was in an area that was technically somebody from the public could access.
And let me ask you, you said that your phone has been blowing up with text messages and inquiries from friends and family. What have you heard so far from the rest of your colleagues?
I haven't really talked. I've only talked to one colleague so far. I went live on Facebook because everybody's hungry for information on what's happening, and I've just been blowing up with requests from my family and my friends, trying to see if I've been all right. There was one person I believe worked in the facilities who actually witnessed the shooting, and I actually have his interview on my phone.
Oh, I'll try and get that from you in a little bit, unless you want to, if you would like to pull that up now. Do you have a moment?
See, and as we're all experiencing the conflicting reports from different witnesses on the shooter, there's just no way to sort it out until police come forward. It's been our experience over the decades covering breaking news that people who witness such unusual and horrifying sometimes events see the same thing but come back with different recollections thereof. And that's why we wait for the authorities to confirm it all in the end. What they've confirmed thus far is there's been an active shooter situation. These pictures, this is a live look inside the Carl's Jr. restaurant across the street. And this is being shot off someone's cell phone. So they've taken the camera, pointing it at the cell phone and showing you what it was like in the Carl's Jr. across the street. It was going down. Let's listen. They're just giving the video of this, and it's being sent back to our local station, KTVU2. So this was about the time that the shooting is happening. This is what was going on inside the Carl's Jr., which is right across the parking lot there. And now we're waiting for this news conference to begin. Again, this all started right at an hour and a half ago, and the authorities have now apparently cleared the building. And witnesses are showing what they saw on their phones. Let's go to the look at the phone now from the reporter from KGO. And again, this is coming in with no sound, but apparently people who were on scene were recording what they were witnessing at the time. It's somewhat unusual to, we have reports of these ambulances taking people to hospitals, but now the hospitals are saying they haven't yet received any patients, or at least one of the hospitals is reporting that. And the authorities haven't come forward with really anything of great substance to this point. We're waiting for the authorities to hold a news conference, which they've promised. Live pictures at the crime scene tape there, and they're zooming in on the police officers who are all in a much more calm sort of status at this moment. It would appear that, it appears at least to witnesses on scene, that whatever was happening inside this building has ceased, and that they are now, I mentioned the coroner's been called in, and police are about to hold a news conference. Trace, sorting out the different accounts from witnesses is a tough thing to do because they're not all saying the same thing.
Yeah, and it's always wrong, Shep. There was a couple of shootings ago, and forgive me because we cover these on a frequent basis. There were a couple of shootings ago. We covered something, and the information that was coming out was accurate, and we both commented on the air. That was one of the few times that we've actually seen accurate information from start to end, because all the other times that we have done this, the information in the early going is clearly going to be a little bit unreliable, and it always is. I mean, you've got people that are panicked, that are running, that are trying to fight for their lives and save their lives and hold up in many cases, and they're just not seeing the same things. And, when you do these active shooting scenarios in offices across, like we have done them here and you have done them in New York, in offices across the country, when you do these scenarios, people always end up saying different things at the end of the scenario. So it stands to reason that you're going to get different outcomes here. It's very good to point out that when the reporter was up and they were kind of giving us an idea of the rundown, it's a great point to be made that San Francisco General is a level 1 trauma center, one of the best in the West. And so the more severe patients would clearly be taken to San Francisco General, and then Stanford, which is down the road. And just for context here, this is at the corner of Interstate 280 and 380. It's between San Francisco and the San Francisco International Airport. That's where San Bruno is. Stanford is a little bit further on the 101 South. The patients
Trace,
who went to the 101. Yeah, go ahead, Chip.
Excuse the interruption. We've just gotten confirmed that there is no longer a threat on scene. The shooter has been taken down, according to authorities. The initial reporting that we're receiving is, we heard from the beginning that it was a female shooter. Then we hear from other witnesses that there was a male shooter. And now we've just been told that authorities are about to hold this news conference, which is to begin right there in San Mateo County. And we're expecting that in just a moment. Trace, sorting out the number of victims has proved impossible at this point. There are reporters at the hospitals, and they're just not getting the information.
And so what we have to do is we have to rely on the stringers who are now at these hospitals, and we've had a couple of stringers say they've seen people come in. Now, remember, these are people who raced to the hospital to get there ahead of time, and they got in place and they got their cameras up. So the question is, are they seeing people who are coming in from the actual shooting, or are they seeing people coming in from elsewhere? That's yet to be determined. But we were talking about how Stanford, which is a little further south, is not a level 1 trauma center, very good hospital, but the less serious injured patients would clearly be sent sent down to Stanford because they're pretty much equidistant. So if you had to, if you had to pick one and you were more seriously injured, you would clearly go to SFG, San Francisco General Hospital. We still don't know any kind of numbers. We hear these things on the scanner ship, but we don't report that. We hear these things in witnesses, but the numbers are always unreliable, so we try to stay away from numbers. And right now, we hear multiple. We've heard that a lot. Multiple injuries. We hear multiple people in triage, and that's the best we know right now is there are at least 4 to 5 people who have been affected by this that we know of at this point in time. Shep.
Trace, a live interview from KTVU Fox 2. Let's listen.
Shorter hair, woman complexion, and it's the lady that got shot in the left leg. She was the one that said, I asked him, well, was it a man, woman? And she said it was a woman. But I didn't see it, but that's what I heard. I heard the actual person that got shot, and then a couple other people said it was a woman. Like witnesses running out from the building.
What's your name, sir?
Tim McCarthy.
McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a witness to the woman who was shot, saying that the woman who was shot told him that the shooter was a woman. We now have confirmed through the county manager in San Mateo County that the shooter is down. Whether deceased or not, we don't know, but inactive, and the threat is over. Live pictures coming to us from KGO of people still evacuating the building. And largely, we wait now to find out from police the extent of the severity of this situation. Let's listen here live.
15 shots, you think you heard?
Yeah, I think in that range. That's about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Stefan.
All right.
I hope you find a little peace. Thanks.
Again, witnesses giving their account of things, and as is often the case, different witnesses witness different things. It's a very large facility. They talk about this loading area where there wasn't any trace. It sounds like the shooter had been in the building and then was firing outside the building and people running from the building. It's just all of that happened before the cameras arrived.
And we draw these parallels, Shep, and this kind of brings you back when you don't know if it's a male or a female, and they talk about the fact that Google was having a luncheon party. It kind of draws you back to what happened a couple of years ago here in San Bernardino County when the couple went in and they opened fire in that Christmas party in that medical building in San Bernardino. So it's unclear if this Google gathering was the target. It's unclear exactly now if this person ever made it all the way in to this Google luncheon, YouTube luncheon gathering, Google being the parent company, the YouTube luncheon gathering. That right now we don't know. We only have the witness accounts, but when you kind of compare, well, was it a female? Because it's very rare to have a female go in and open fire on her own in any type of shooting scenario that we have covered. So that in itself would be exceptional. And so one wonders, is it the scarf that is throwing people off? Because we know whoever the suspect is, we have had multiple witnesses, at least 2, meaning multiple, that have said this person was wearing a dark shirt and a scarf. So that's about as far as we go. And this person you heard last say with a female complexion. That's about as deep as we've gotten into the gender descriptions so far. And as to whether this person made it inside the building, that is a very big unknown at this point in time. Shep.
It's true. We were showing aerials a little while ago, and you may have seen what appeared to be umbrellas. A number of red umbrellas from a live aerial just a moment ago. It's our understanding. There we go. It's our understanding that this is an area out back where employees come together and eat around the lunch hour a lot of days, and that is a spot that has been in question. That's the one that the Carl's Jr. patron was talking about when giving his description of what he saw and heard. It's our understanding that that's the area, so that we go outside from the secure area to that area, and that's maybe where some of this went down. Though the authorities have not been clear about it. We're now told that at 2:30 Pacific time, so just about 5.5 minutes from now, We're expected to get a statement from police on this matter as KTVU Fox 2 continues to cover this live. Let's listen.
Targeted inside and outside. We don't know yet, and hopefully we'll have that answer here in just the next few minutes with this news briefing.
Right, and as we heard from the city manager of San Bruno, letting everyone know that there was no longer a threat to the public. You can also see that right now in the demeanor of law enforcement, firefighters, other officials who responded to this. It is almost as if there is a little bit of a sense of relief as they get ready to leave this scene, perhaps move back a little bit and prepare it to be the investigation will obviously continue, but that rush, that sort of we need to get in there, figure this out. It appears as though that initial threat is over. Again, as we heard from the city manager, that there's no longer a threat to the public. Take a look at this map, because this gives you an idea when we're talking about the neighboring businesses, the people nearby who either got their cell phones out and recorded what they were seeing, or called us here at KTVU to tell us what they were seeing going on. There's the YouTube headquarters there indicated, you see there with the red square, and a couple of neighboring businesses. We've spoken to people at the Carl's Jr. It appears, Ken, that the people at that Carl's Jr. really had, and I hate to say this, but sort of a first-hand account of what was going on. It seems as though there was at least some shooting that they were able to see. We know that a couple of victims ran into the Carl's Jr. looking for help. We heard from one witness who says he actually grabbed a bungee cord to try to stop the bleeding on a woman who was either shot in the leg or the foot and then taken to the hospital. I know that earlier on in all of this, you spoke with someone who was at the Walmart e-commerce building, and she told you what she saw during all of this.
Yeah, she said 7 shots. She specifically said 7 shots and then silence. And she said she looked out the window and she saw people running out of the YouTube building with their hands in the air.
Reporter live on scene now. Let's listen.
Have witnesses said that to you as well?
No, not that I know. I couldn't even speak to that.
Anybody know? Shooter's a woman or a man?
This is a sort of behind-the-scenes look. This is a feed going to our station, KTVU Fox 2, as reporters are working to find things out, back to their live coverage on station.
After the shooting, made their way trying to get help, and people at those restaurants rendered first aid to help those people out. So, dramatic situation for them.
We are getting some new information, this really coming in just a moment ago. I mentioned seeing that body covered with a yellow tar there at the scene. Well, we are now getting confirmation from the San Mateo County coroner that that office has indeed been requested to respond to the YouTube headquarters, the scene of this shooting, the scene of this active shooter situation. They would not elaborate on exactly what they're being called for, but one can assume the coroner only responds to a scene. At least one person dead. So the headline at this hour, as we sit here and wait to hear from the San Bruno police chief, who is expected to update us on the ongoing situation, the San Mateo County coroner is responding to the YouTube headquarters.
The live pictures you're seeing appear to be a window shot out. If the reports from witnesses are accurate, there was certainly a lot of gunfire, and we heard one witness describe a victim being shot as many as 10 or 11 times. Again, that's what the witness said. The local anchors there mentioned that we're expecting the San Mateo sheriff to come and give details in just a moment. We have indications that the president has been briefed on this. The feds are staying out of it for the moment. The FBI has been notified. They're watching, letting the locals handle this, which is, I don't know, on the surface a good sign. The ATF is en route to the scene, the Office of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, en route to that scene there, and waiting to hear from authorities, scheduled to be a minute and a half from now. For those of you who may be joining, expecting to see the 5 on Fox News Channel or local programming on the local station on which you're watching, this is continuing coverage of what has been reported by police to be an active shooter situation at YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California, San Mateo County. And the authorities have now told us that the active shooter situation is over, that the shooter himself or herself, we really can't know until authorities give us the definitive word on that. At any rate, the shooter has been taken down, and that the urgency of the matter has passed. Live report now coming from the scene. Let's listen.
Guys, I've been talking to some witnesses who do not want to go on camera, but one told me that, as you've been saying, the shooter is a woman, and that she apparently killed herself after what they believe shooting her boyfriend. We don't have any confirmation from police. Police are being very tight-lipped. I believe you said that the San Bruno police chief is going to be actually holding a presser and putting out the fine details to this, but what I'm hearing from witnesses, A, the shooter was a woman, B, that she may have taken her own life after shooting her boyfriend. We do not know what precipitated the violence, though, guys.
Jesse, do you know how these people know this information? Did they witness any of this?
A lot of these people are witnesses or very close to the shooting scene when this all went down, but I don't know how.
The National Weather Service in Wilmington has issued a tornado warning for southwestern Franklin County, Ohio, northwestern Pickaway County, southeastern Madison County until 6 p.m. At 5:22 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles north of Mount Sterling, moving east at 45 miles an hour. Hazard, tornado and quarter-size hail. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Locations impacted include Columbus, Grove City, Upper Arlington, Ohio State University, Lake Darby, Grandview Heights, Obetz, Commercial Point, Urban Crest, Valley View, Marble Cliff, Harrisburg, Orient, Lockbourne, Derby, Lily Chapel, Georgesville, Darby Dale, Big Plain, and Wrightsville. This includes the following interstates: Interstate 70 in Ohio between mile markers 93 and 100. Interstate 71 in Ohio between mile markers 85 and 107, and near mile marker 112. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. To report severe weather, go to our website at weather.gov/ILN and submit your report via social media. When you can do so safely.
From our Paul Chambers, he is live outside San Francisco General with an update on the number of people being treated there. Paul?
Yes, it's 3 people, 2 females and 1 male. You can see the public information officer is right here behind us. He just gave us updated information. 1 person in fair condition, 1 person in serious condition, and 1 person is in critical condition. The person that's in critical condition is the man, and we're told that he's 37 years old, and the other person is also, one of the women's in her 30s, and the other woman is in her 20s. Now, they plan to have a press conference to give us more detailed information at 3:30, but once again, this is what we know here, that there have been 3 victims brought here, 2 females, 1 male, 1 in fair, 1 in serious, and 1 in critical condition. They also say they're also bringing additional patients to come to this hospital. Now, I also told you earlier about it being under lockdown. The hospital, emergency ward is still in lockdown at this hour, but I was explained this is something that they do normally when there are a high number of patients coming to an area like this, especially when there's been a mass shooting. So that's the reason why they are under the lockdown situation. Once again, at 3:30, they'll have an updated information with more about exactly the seriousness of each person's injuries, but as I said right now, 1 is critical, 1 serious, and 1 is in fair condition.
Paul, did that person give you any indication on how many more patients might be going to SF General?
We asked that question. He would not elaborate. He just said there are more patients coming. We've been out here for about an hour almost now, and we haven't seen any additional cars or ambulances coming here. We're about 9 miles from the actual scene, so we would expect to see more coming at that time. And, of course, when we find that out, we'll let you know. But, again, he said a new press conference will come at 3:30. He'll bring a surgeon out here to give us detailed information.
Yeah, Paul, and again, I know that they're sort of working all of this out, but did the person say if the man, the 37-year-old man who's in critical condition, if he had been shot more than one time?
I would not elaborate on that. We asked him a lot of those questions. He basically said that he wouldn't give us those details. He'll actually have a surgeon come out and give us the details. Okay. But he did say, like I said, the man is in critical condition.
All right. Also want to thank you, Paul. Also want to point out that we had been told that the San Bruno police chief was going to have a news conference at the bottom of the hour at 2:30. It is now 2:34. They still may be getting all of their information together. But so now we can say at any moment we expect to have a news conference from the San Bruno police chief to tell us what's going on. So now, Heather, as we look back and kind of reevaluate where we're at, it appears we have a female shooter who was at the YouTube headquarters or some kind of celebration or event inside the building, and apparently she had targeted a boyfriend. This is all from information that is getting passed on to our reporters at the scene, and this will be vetted by the police chief here momentarily, but apparently she was targeting her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was shot. We don't know that boyfriend's status at this point. Several other people were shot, as you're hearing from Paul Chambers and earlier from Maureen Naylor, where there are 3 to 5 other victims that were taken to Stanford. So we're now at least 6 victims suffering from gunshot wounds. And then the shooter, the woman, apparently shot herself. And we know that the San Mateo County coroner has been called to the scene, whether or not it's just for...
And let's go to the news conference. Let's listen.
And what I'd like to do is just give you a quick briefing and a timeline of what we know now and where we're at this point. So if you'll bear with me, information is coming in. It's obviously a very fluid situation, and we're doing the best we can to keep everybody up to date. So at 12:46 p.m. this afternoon, San Bruno Police Department received numerous 911 calls regarding gunshots at the YouTube campus located on Cherry Avenue in our city. San Bruno Police arrived on scene at 12:48 and immediately began a search for a possible shooter or suspect. Upon arrival, officers encountered numerous employees fleeing from the building. It was very chaotic, as you can imagine. We did encounter one victim with an apparent gunshot wound towards the front of the business as we arrived. Several minutes later, while conducting a search of the premises, officers located a second individual with a gunshot wound that appears to may have been self-inflicted. We are still working on confirming that. 2 additional victims were located several minutes later at an adjacent business. The extent of all of the injuries of our victims are unknown right now. They were all transported for emergency medical care, but they are all unknown. So if I missed that, we have 4 victims who have all been transported for gunshot-related injuries, and we have 1 subject who's deceased inside the building with a self-inflicted wound that at this time we believe to be the shooter, but we're still following up on that. Multiple law enforcement agencies have responded to assist. We're very grateful for everyone's help and assistance. We could not have responded and accomplished this without everybody's help. This is an active event and an active investigation, and numerous law enforcement personnel from numerous different local agencies are still conducting a search of the business just to make sure that that it is clear. We conducted a quick, immediate search of the premises when the first officers arrived as pursuant to our active shooter protocol. And after that search was concluded, now we're going through with a methodical, slow search just to make sure that we cover all the bases. That's all I have for you at this time. We hope to have something a little later. I cannot give you, I cannot give you the time of the next press update, but we'll put that out as soon as we have that information. I'm sorry? No, I cannot confirm that. It's a female. Yes.
point? Are they survivable injuries?
My understanding is that they've been transported and they're being treated for injuries that are treatable. We're hoping for the best, obviously.
Are there more people inside the building, or?
My understanding is the building has been evacuated. There are people in the immediate area. We're obviously trying to contact a large amount of people to try to identify and gain some information from witnesses at the scene. So you can imagine it's a monumental task with the number of employees that work inside the building.
Chief, can you tell us about what weapon or weapons?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us about what weapon or weapons were coming?
I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
Do you have so police and the sheriff who else?
We have. I haven't taken inventory of all the agencies. There are numerous agencies. We work well with our neighboring partners, and we're grateful that they're here. But there's a lot of them.
And do you have the gender of the shooter?
Yeah, I want to clarify that we did locate a victim with what we believe to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It's a female, but the investigation is still ongoing before we can put all the pieces together.
Is this person an ex-employee?
I don't have any information regarding that.
Are you looking for another shooter?
We are clearing the building and searching the building in a slow, methodical manner like we would do anyway. So we haven't eliminated that possibility, but we have no information to suggest that there's somebody else in there that we're looking for.
Where are the employees now? We saw them walking down the street.
Yeah, a lot of employees self-evacuated, as you can imagine. We've identified a group that we want to talk to, and we have staging areas where our detectives are reaching out to them and interviewing them. So we're trying to do it as orderly as we can, but a lot of people, pretty hectic scenario. So it's a task.
Are there still people in that building that are with you too, that are there now besides the ones that you're identified in question?
No, I believe my understanding is that the building has been evacuated, so they're all outside of that building.
Okay, how many people are you talking about here?
Several hundred, a few hundred. I'm sorry, a few hundred. It was my understanding.
In what floor was she?
I don't know.
And was her boyfriend there?
I have no idea. I don't know the circumstances surrounding this.
And it was
this
only
at
one
all.
shooter.
I don't want to eliminate any possibility. I don't know any of that for sure. Like I said, this is still active. We're still investigating this as I'm speaking to you. So there's a lot of things that I just simply don't know right now.
Are you sure that the shots started in the courtyard? Do you know anything?
I don't have information. All right. I will try to get you an update as soon as we can once we know more. But I think that I've given you almost everything that we know at this point. So appreciate it. Yeah, when we know, I don't want to give you a time because I may not have a lot for you. So when we can identify a time that's appropriate to come back and update you again, we'll do that immediately. We'll probably put that out through our media list and through social media.
Sorry, Chief. We understand from one employee that police had to borrow badges in order to access parts of the building. Did you have any trouble getting where you needed
I
to
don't
go?
have any information regarding that right now.
Is there a problem with security at YouTube? We've heard there's not even metal detectors on the outside.
We're not even at that point yet. We're still trying to address the situation in front of us. Okay, I will get you some more information in a few minutes. I don't know. I have not. They've not been identified. So that's all I have. And again, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
So, though this particular officer was less specific, we've gotten other specific reports from law enforcement that the suspected shooter is a female, that suspected shooter is the woman he was just describing, who is deceased on scene. You heard him say that there was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The pictures you just saw of the umbrellas there at the seating area, this is believed to be very near the area where all of this happened. A number of victims, and Trace Gallagher monitoring along with us from our West Coast News Hub. And Trace, this some just terrifying story that came from the Carl's Jr. patron across the street. No mention of any of that stuff.
And the deputy there seemed to kind of answer the biggest question, Shep, that we were talking about is, did this shooter make it inside? And the answer to that is yes, because now we know that she was found inside, because the deputy said that she was found inside. And apparently the LA Times is reporting this was domestic violence. That has not been confirmed by police, but that's the way this thing looks to be shaping up. And so now we have a case where there were 4 victims who were all transported. We know that 1 is in critical condition, 1 is in serious condition, and the other 2 apparently do not have life-threatening injuries. We don't really know if that is all-encompassing. In other words, we believe that's the victims who were taken to San Francisco General Hospital, which is the level 1 trauma unit. We don't really know if that also includes, we believe it does, but we're not 100% sure, at least I'm not, if that includes the patients who were also taken to Stanford Medical Center. We do know that there was apparently 1 fatality, and that was the shooter by a self-inflicted gunshot wound wound. Now, Vic Lee for KGO was reporting the way this went down, actually, is that the police went inside the building and they opened up a room and they found the suspect and her apparent target had both suffered gunshot wounds, and that's where they were located, inside. There was all this talk about employees running to Carl's Jr., about bullets being fired outside, about someone standing in the doorway. Well, that's not the picture that police are painting at all for a Shep. They're painting a picture of a woman who apparently went in with an intended target, and there were other people who were shot in the same capacity. But we are hearing a very different story from the PIO than we have heard from many of the witnesses early on about a woman who opened up the back door and opened fire, and then you had victims running over to Carl's Jr. There was a victim that went to Carl's Jr., but apparently that person at one point in time was inside YouTube's headquarters and then made her way out in the parking lot, realized she was shot, and then went into Carl's Jr. and asked help. So 4 victims that we know of, 5 victims actually, 1 fatal, 4 people taken to San Francisco General Hospital, 1 critical, 1 serious, the other 2 non-life-threatening injuries. And right now, we're still waiting for the rest of this to kind of be sewn up for us, Shep, but it does not appear to be terrorism. It appears to be domestic violence, and this situation apparently at YouTube for the time being appears to be very well contained.
And noted, Trace, that these very specific stories of multiple shots and someone being killed before their eyes, notably not one word on any of that, and no word on anyone deceased except the shooter herself, which is quite an extraordinary thing to try to put together.
2 extraordinary things. 1, that it's a female shooter, and 2, that there were not more fatalities, and which is not to discredit any of the witnesses who say that there was somebody opening fire. We don't know if this person went in and started opening fire looking for the intended target. That may very well have been the case. What we do know is the final scenario was the shooter and apparently the intended target in a room together, both with gunshot wounds. Other people certainly were shot in the process. And again, when we talk about 4 victims, there was some word that, well, 4 people were shot. We don't know that. The police never said 4 people were shot. There were 4 victims taken to hospitals, people taken to Stanford Hospital. We don't know if they suffered gunshot wounds. Oftentimes in these cases, they suffered trampling wounds from people trying to get out of the building, and oftentimes they fall and hurt themselves. So it's not always gunshot wounds. So we're trying to keep the facts contained where we know they are, and that is 4 victims. We know that 2 of them have gunshot wounds because 1's critical and 1's serious, and we know that 2 people in some capacity were wounded. We just don't know exactly how that happened. Shep.
Trace Gallagher, thank you. Live report, KTVU, Fox 2 in San Francisco. Let's listen.
Where this person inflicted that wound on their body. The 4 people being treated right now, as we heard from Paul Chambers at the hospital, the injuries survivable. That's what we know right now. They don't have much information beyond that to say that right now they're in the phase of questioning about 100 people from this building. Most of the employees that were in that building have left on their own for the day. They have a separate staging area that they hadn't told us about yet, where they're holding the people who are there questioning as they proceed with this investigation right now, Ken. That is what we know. The chief says he will have another press conference sometime later tonight. Perhaps we will glean some new information about what happened inside of that building earlier today as far as how the officials are handling it and what they're looking for in their investigation. Of course, a motivation as to what drove this woman to come in here and start shooting and injuring 4 people here. So hopefully we'll get some update that will give us some insight into what happened here in this very tragic situation that unfolded inside the YouTube headquarters here in San Bruno. Ken and Heather?
Yeah, Andre, I want to go back because you mentioned that the chief would not really discuss anything about the weapon used, but we did hear in police audio as the dispatch was going out to law enforcement and they were responding, they did indicate that a gun had been recovered. But again, the police chief would not elaborate on what type of gun was used.
He would not elaborate on that. In fact, when he was asked about what type of weapon was used, he said he just didn't have that information. So it's just quite possible. There are several agencies here, Heather, involved. Just to let you know, there's CHP, the San Mateo Sheriff's Office, including the San Bruno Police Department. Now, I'd heard that the San Mateo Sheriff's Office was leading the investigation, but obviously that might have changed since the earlier part of this incident started to unfold. We got out here very quickly, so things were still chaotic at the time, but the San Bruno Police Chief gave that update, and he would not say what type type of weapon was used in this case. And the way he said it after that was he just simply didn't know. So it's possible that he has not yet gotten an update from other investigators who are here on the scene trying to figure out what went wrong here.
Yeah, we know that ATF is also on the scene, and so when you got ATF involved, you have the gun experts, so they'll be able to find out everything there is to know about that gun and how this woman came to be in possession of it. You were talking about the 100 people that the sheriff or the chief wanted to get more information from. Would these be people that were in whatever that event was that was earlier today, where apparently this all started, the gunshots started and then spilled outside?
You know, he would not say. Again, he leaned on that comment he made earlier that just that he didn't know. He just know that they would identify these 100 people who could provide some additional information as part of their ongoing investigation. But he didn't know what role they played leading up to this.
Lots of people to be interviewed. Heather Holmes and Ken Wayne on the anchor desk at KTVU in San Francisco. Our coverage continues of this breaking news in San Mateo County right after this. 7 minutes before 3 o'clock on the West Coast, where authorities in San Mateo County are interviewing as many as 100 people who were in and around this shooting which took place just before 1 o'clock this afternoon Pacific time at YouTube's headquarters in San Bruno, in the hills of San Bruno, California. 200,000 square foot facility that houses about 1,700 workers. And today, the best reporting we have from police is that there is one person who is dead, and it would appear that this woman was the shooter, and that there are others who are injured in hospitals. You may have heard the police spokesperson there telling us that 4 people had been taken to San Francisco General Hospital. Well, we're speaking now, our researchers are speaking with San Francisco General Hospital, which reports it's actually 3 people who were at San Francisco General with varying degree of injuries, and that all of them are expected to survive. We know that they're also expecting to receive some other patients who were more lightly wounded, as did another hospital about equidistant, as Trace Gallagher reported it, from this facility, received patients there as well. The president has just tweeted on this matter. He has been briefed, it is now clear, and here's the tweet. We've just been briefed on the shooting at YouTube's headquarters in San Bruno, California. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody involved. Thank you to our phenomenal law enforcement officers and first responders that are currently on scene. There was another tweet as well, but we'll get to that when it comes in, and these are live pictures from the scene there in San Mateo County. We're expecting another police update, as you may have heard, but we're not sure on the timing of that. Our local station, KGO, which is our network news service affiliate, and our local station, KTVU Fox 2 for the Bay Area, all reporting now that this scene is quiet, that they are now interviewing people, and to say that people are being held is not accurate. It's just that they're being kept in this place and interviewed while the thoughts are fresh. We have no explanation for those who presented themselves as witnesses to the television cameras just across the street from there, and this story of someone being shot 10 or 11 times and a man watching a victim fall. The authorities' account of what has happened today does not match with that at all. We'll have continuing coverage on this throughout the afternoon on the West Coast and here in the evening on the East Coast. My friend Brett Baer is preparing for a special report, which will air in just about 4 minutes on Fox News Channel. And we'll continue with updates should the situation there change. But the headline is authorities say there is no active shooter anymore. One person believed to be a female and a domestic situation of some sort killed herself on scene. Special report right after this.